Hi there, are you enjoying the summer? As for myself, I've taken a few days off to recharge batteries, sitting in the garden with my feet up, but all good things, as usual, must end, mustn't they? Yes, and this means we're getting ready for yet another busy season of Code for Thought, the podcast for researchers who code, research software engineers and anyone with an interest in technology, software, and all things digital, and how they are used in research and science. And as per usual, Code for Thought episodes will be published weekly on each Tuesday from the 2nd of September onwards, that is, next week. And I'm going to start with a subject that's important to a lot of people working in research. How do we get people and ourselves ready for dealing with digital data and writing good, sustainable and reproducible code? And so for this first episode in this season, you'll hear from Samantha Wittke, Radovan Bust and Richard Darst, who've been running, together with others, the Code Refinery. Solid digital skills are essential and indispensable for a career in research and science nowadays. But hard skills in science and software are often not enough, in particular when it comes to passing job interviews, which is something we'll all have to do at some stage, don't we? And I thought it might be a good idea to talk to someone who's been giving candidates practical tips on how to prepare for that one thing a lot of people, including yours truly, are quite afraid of, the coding interview. So later this season, you'll meet Mike Mroska from the US, who's the co-author of the book Cracking the Code Interview, and who's written up a follow-up book as well, because so much has changed in recent years when it comes to candidate assessment and how interviews are run. Talking about applications and getting ready for it, you may have heard that the Software Sustainability Institute is running a new round of fellowships, and applications are open until the 6th of October 2025. The fellowship program has been running for a while, and I had the chance and pleasure to talk to some of the people who are part of this year's cohort. But of course, there'll be a lot more this season. With my guest Christian Gütschel from UCL in London, I'll be diving into one of the biggest physics experiments, the ATLAS experiment at CERN in Switzerland. ATLAS is one of the experiments that helped to confirm the existence of the Higgs boson, an elementary particle predicted by the physicist who gave the particle its name, Peter Higgs. Particle physics experiments had always a deep involvement with software development, often coming up with tools that are at the very cutting edge. Kind of related to particle physics in a way is the search for new and renewable energy sources. And for some time now, engineers and scientists have been trying to crack the holy grail of energy production, that is, nuclear fusion, the way the sun, for instance, works. And I have talked to some of the people involved in this on this podcast before, for instance, a chat with Simon Pinches from the test reactor at ITER in Cadarache, the south of France. Well, this time I had the pleasure of talking to Rémi Delaporte and his quest to bring open source tools into this particular research arena, which, as you will hear, is more of a battle than you might think. From small particles to space exploration with Voyager. Yes, this Voyager, the two space probes that were launched just a couple of months apart in 1977. At a time when some of you haven't even been born. Amazingly, the Voyager mission is still ongoing, and I'm very excited to be able to talk to Bill Kurth, who's been involved with the program from the very beginning. And together with Bill, we'll find out what Voyager, sound, and plasma physics have in common, including some sound examples that truly are out of this world. What you can do with sound is also the theme for a conversation I had with James Treyford and Chris Harrison. Both are leading an initiative and organization called Audio Universe, where they try to bring data, for instance astrophysics data, to life with, well, sound. But let's get back to planet Earth, shall we? Well, now let's see what else is coming. James Baker from the Digital Humanities in Southampton tells us all about the exciting stuff that happens there. And my guest Chris Reed tries to help us getting on top of our software assets in repositories like GitHub with checklists. And we're going to find out what role continuous integration, deployment, and benchmarking plays in the world of high-performance computing from the people who run the RSE workshop at the International Supercomputing Conference in Hamburg in June 2025. And if you're looking for a solution for your experimental instrumentation, well, then Sebastian Weber from France has got you covered with his Python library called Pymodoc. So the one thing that I haven't mentioned are the episodes in German and French. Since spring 2023, I've been running one German episode per month, published on the last Tuesday, and starting last September 24, Ghislain Veillon ran a bunch of interviews in French, which were published on the second Tuesday of each month. Well, I'm afraid that I won't be able to run 2 foreign language episodes each month anymore, and so from this season onwards there will only be one episode in either German or French on the last Tuesday each month. The first, on the 30th of September, will be on a project which I learned about at FOSDEM in Brussels earlier this year, Pandore. Guillaume Levray, who created it from the Bibliothèque Nationale de France François Mitterrand in Paris, will be talking to me about it. And yes, it'll be in French. And in November, I'll be talking to Simon Delamare and Guillaume Raffin about 2 applications trying to assess the energy consumption of high-performance computers in France, also in French. And for the German episodes, you'll be meeting Eric Upschulte from Jülich and a software tool he created, Cell Detection, which was awarded by the Research Center in Jülich. And then a meeting with the people from the German Climate Computing Center, which I'm going to have the pleasure of meeting in Hamburg later 2025. Well, in short, it's going to be a busy autumn between September and the end of 2025, and I do hope that amongst all of the weekly episodes, you'll find at least one that will interest you. But if you do have any feedback or ideas or comment and would like to have something mentioned in one of the forthcoming episodes, why not get in touch with me? You can do this directly from the show notes, there's a link, or via email at peter@codeforthought.org, where Code for Thought is written with the number 4 between code and thought. Or you can contact me via Slack, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, or Mastodon. And finally, this podcast is a community podcast, but alas, it cannot run on autopilot. Therefore, if you can or want to, you can support the show by leaving a little something in a tipping jar, a link which you can also find in the show notes. And if you and your organization want to sponsor an entire episode or several episodes, do get in touch via email. Finally, it's going to be a busy conference season again. I'll be at the RSE Conference 2025 at the University of Warwick in the UK, which actually happens to be in Coventry, but that's for another day. Anyway, the conference with a lot of goodies, including satellite events before and after. And then I'll be hopping on the train to Birmingham in October for the Hidden Rev Festival. Hidden Rev, by the way, have their own podcast now called What the Rev. Maybe you should listen to that too. So, if you do see me around, I might be the guy walking around with a headset and microphones. Do say hello. And with that, happy season. Welcome back from summer and thank you so much for listening. Oh, time's up. See you next time. But before I forget, this podcast is covered by the Creative Commons license. See ya.